Welcome back to Civil Defiance. I'm Otto Bismarck. For decades, we've been fed a sugary, sanitized lie about the American dream, about consumer value, and about the very nature of our economy. We've been told we live in the land of the free, where the market is fair and competition reigns supreme. But lately, it feels less like the land of the free and more like the land of the fleeced, the home of the financially enslaved. Tonight, we're ripping the bandage off the greatest economic scam ever perpetrated against a supposedly free people, the Great American Price Gouge. This isn't just about high prices. This is about systemic, politically enabled theft, where the cost of being an American citizen is exponentially higher than the cost of being almost any other consumer on earth, even for goods manufactured right here on American soil. Let me hit you with the punch in the face right at the start. I'm talking about the revolutionary weight loss and diabetes medications, the GLP-1 drugs. The same medication, the same pen, manufactured in the same sterile, climate-controlled U.S. factory is exported to Canada and sold for $500 or less. But when that identical product is sold here, to you, the American who paid for the research and the infrastructure, the price skyrockets to $1,300, sometimes even higher. 5, maybe 6 times the price. How do you justify that? You don't. You only accept it if you've been conditioned, if you've been brainwashed into believing that high price equals quality. And if you have a political class, the Uni-Party, that is actively enabling the corporate cronies who are picking your pocket. This is not capitalism. This is not competition. This is a system designed to extract maximum profit from the American middle class at the expense of screwing your neighbor and your fellow citizen. And it's time to get angry. We need to dive deeper into this international financial betrayal. The pharmaceutical industry is the most egregious, but it's not the only one. How is it that an American-made car can be sold cheaper in Germany with all the associated export, shipping, and tariff costs than it is in Detroit, the heart of American manufacturing? How is it that U.S. developed software subscriptions, electronics, and even certain designer clothing brands are routinely discounted in Asian or European markets, while we pay the premium, the American tax? This phenomenon is called geo-pricing, and it's nothing less than a Uni-Party approved protection racket. It shields corporations from domestic competition, ensuring they can charge whatever the market will bear, not what the product is worth. They argue that the U.S. market has a higher tolerance for price, that Americans are conditioned to accept being gouged because we have a higher median income, or perhaps because we have less consumer protection. They are essentially admitting that we are the softest target, the easiest prey. Think about it logically. If the marginal cost of producing 1 unit of a prescription drug is, say, $1.50, and they can profitably sell it in Canada for $1.50, then the $1,300 they charge you isn't profit, it's plunder. It's an artificially imposed fee enforced by legislative loopholes, patent extensions, and the outright failure of the Uni-Party to challenge Big Pharma's iron grip on policy. They are leveraging their political donations and lobbying power to ensure they can hold a financial gun to the head of the American consumer, simultaneously claiming they need those massive, obscene profits for innovation, an innovation that is priced so high it effectively locks millions of Americans out of health and well-being. This is not the function of a free market. This is the function of a cartel. Let's return to the GLP-1 scandal, because it's the clearest example of the moral rot at the core of this problem. This isn't about buying a luxury watch. This is about buying health, mobility, and, in some cases, life itself. The fact that the same manufacturer exports the same drug, and a neighboring country, Canada, can acquire it for a fraction of the price, proves beyond any reasonable doubt that the high cost here is arbitrary, predatory, and indefensible. Why does this happen? Because the Uni-Party has consistently blocked any meaningful legislation that would allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. This is a massive systemic subsidy, a government-mandated blank check written by the sick and financially vulnerable to the shareholders of pharmaceutical companies. Every politician who stands in the way of drug price negotiation is complicit in this financial treason against the American people. They ensure that Big Pharma can hold a gun to the American consumer's head while simultaneously claiming they need those massive profits for innovation, an innovation that's priced us out of basic health. We need to demand an end to patent abuse and demand a change in law that values American lives over corporate quarterly reports.
Hey, Civil Defiance listeners. I'm Eve, and Otto is on fire today, exposing the rot in our economic structure. But we can't let him do all the heavy lifting. This show is about your defiance. What massive scam, what piece of uni-party corruption, what outrageous hypocrisy are you seeing in your daily life? Are you paying 5 times too much for routine surgery? Is your local grocery store price gouging under the guise of inflation? I want to hear about the economic injustice and defiance that's happening in your neighborhood. Shoot us an email or hit us up on social media with your suggestions for our next episode. Let's bring the truth to light together. Now back to Otto.
We've talked about life-saving medication, but let's pivot to the world of the non-essential, the world of luxury, where the deception is just as blatant, if perhaps less deadly. Let's talk about the Prada purse, the $1,000 price tag, the air of exclusivity, the implied quality superiority derived solely from the brand name, and the assumption that it was crafted in some beautiful European atelier. Then something interesting happened a few years ago. The Trump tariff failures, the supply chain scrutiny, and the general exposure of international manufacturing shone a bright, ugly light on the truth. That same $1,000 purse and countless other items from high-end labels was manufactured in China, Vietnam, or another low-cost country for a price that often hovers around 1% of the final retail price, maybe a manufacturing cost of $15. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a nearly 6,600% markup, and the only thing driving that markup is a psychological trick. The Uni-Party and their corporate enablers want us to believe this is high-end quality, not high-end corporate theft. We have been systematically brainwashed into believing that the price tag is the quality certificate. They've built an entire consumer culture around the idea that the more you suffer to pay for something, the better it must be. We are sacrificing our savings, going into debt, and prioritizing brand labels over real value, all because we bought the lie that a $1,000 bag is objectively superior to a $100 bag when the difference in manufacturing cost might be negligible. The only value is the label, and that label is merely the corporate entity cashing in on your self-imposed delusion. We need to wake up and get angry, I mean truly angry. This financial assault on the American consumer is not new. It's just a new iteration of an old tyranny, and we have a deep revolutionary history of rejecting it. But this grand deception, this psychological warfare, isn't just about the luxury goods we desire. It's about the essential services we need to function in the modern world. Let's talk about the internet. In the 21st century, high-speed internet isn't a luxury. It's a utility as essential as electricity or water. Yet, in the land of the free, we pay more for worse service than almost any other developed nation on earth. Why? Because the Uni-Party has allowed a handful of massive corporations to carve up the country into a series of local monopolies. Think back to the Boston Tea Party. We often romanticize it as a simple protest against taxation without representation, but let's get specific. It wasn't a tax on all tea, it was a tax on British East India Company tea. That tea was actually priced lower than the smuggled Dutch tea the colonists were buying. So why the fury? Because the tax was seen as a way to force a monopoly, to compel the colonists to accept a system, a corporate cartel that they had no say in, thereby affirming the British Parliament's absolute arbitrary power over their financial lives. The core issue wasn't the dollar amount, it was the arbitrary, oppressive nature of the price imposition. Today, we face a similar betrayal. Instead of a small arbitrary tax, we face arbitrarily inflated prices, price gouging that is financially crippling the middle class and poor. The GLP-1 drug markup is our new stamp act. The 6,600% luxury markup is our new tea tax. The Uni-Party enabled corporations are our new economic overlords, and they are effectively taxing us through mandatory, obscene markups, all under the guise of free market capitalism. The effect is the same. Your freedom is being curtailed by financial coercion and arbitrary pricing set by an entity you cannot hold accountable. This is not just bad business, it's an affront to American liberty and the revolutionary spirit. They have the audacity to call this capitalism. I call it cronyism and corporate feudalism. True capitalism involves competition, transparency, and a reasonable return on investment. It is a system where the best product wins and prices reflect cost, supply, and a fair profit. What we have in America is a system where the Uni-Party ensures that monopolies thrive, patents are perpetual, and the game is meticulously rigged to extract maximum wealth from the consumer. It is a system built to pick your pockets for profit at the expense of screwing your neighbor and fellow American. It's the very definition of an economic cartel where the pharmaceutical giants, the luxury conglomerates, and the major manufacturers collude, either tacitly or explicitly, to maintain impossibly high price floors in the only market that can, the American market. They are protected from foreign competition by tariffs and protected from domestic price pressure by the Uni-Party. It is the opposite of a free market. It is a fixed market. So what is the civil defiance here? The anger is justified, but anger alone won't change the ledger. First, we must stop giving our consent. We must become conscious, defiant consumers, questioning every ridiculous price tag. Reject the lie that high price equals quality. Prioritize value and necessity over brand labels and perceived status. You vote with your wallet every single time you choose a $1,000 product with a $1.15 manufacturing cost. Stop validating their greed. Second, we must demand accountability from the Uni-Party. The only way to stop the gouging is to dismantle the political structure that enables it. We must demand an end to patent abuse that keeps generic drugs off the market for decades. We must demand that our government, like every other major government in the developed world, is allowed to negotiate drug prices. We must demand aggressive antitrust enforcement to break up the monopolies that prevent real competition. We must vote with our dollars and our ballots for people who will dismantle this rigged anti-American system. We need politicians who serve the republic, not the corporate balance sheet. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them tell you paying $1,300 for a $500 drug is necessary for innovation. The innovation is in how effectively they fooled you. Don't let them tell you a $1,000 bag is quality when it costs less than a decent meal to manufacture. The quality is in the marketing, not the material. This is the new tyranny, It's a tyranny of the balance sheet, a slow motion economic bleed that is destroying the middle class, crippling the poor, and enriching a political and corporate elite who view you not as a citizen, but as an endless source of revenue to be exploited. We've been docile long enough. The spirit of the Boston Tea Party, the spirit of civil defiance, must rise up and reject this arbitrary, crippling economic enslavement. It's time to get angry, and it's time to act. If this episode of Civil Defiance lit a fire in your gut, if you recognize the economic treason being perpetrated against you, then you know what you need to do. Don't just listen, join the movement. Hit that subscribe button right now on Spotify. Follow the Civil Defiance channel. Every subscription is a signal that Americans are waking up, that we are becoming conscious of the scam, and that we will not tolerate the Uni-Party's corporate cronyism any longer. We need your numbers to amplify this message, to make this noise inescapable. Subscribe, follow, and share this episode with every person you know who is tired of being fleeced by the very people and systems sworn to protect them. Thank you for tuning in to Civil Defiance. I am your host, Otto Bismarck. Until next time, stay defiant, question every price tag, and don't let anyone pick your pocket.